All right, and we are live. It looks like I have a very, very poor internet connection, so maybe you see me, maybe you don't. Well, Merry Christmas, everyone. It's been a few weeks since I have joined you. Try to take a break for the holiday, try to avoid making too much content or anything like that, prepping too much content, just trying to enjoy the last of Advent and the beginning of Christmas. I hope all of you have had a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. The Christ child is with us. He's in the manger here behind me. This is a little bit of a different time for me, so who knows if anybody's even going to join. Those of you, my dear loyal listeners and followers, know I usually come on in the morning, usually Monday morning. In the evenings, I like to spend my time, give it to my family, and just be away from technology as much as I can once the sun goes down. But as it turns out, as the way things go, my family is out of town for a few days. So being left alone to my own devices, I figured I would take a little bit of time and join going live. Now, since nobody is here, and since I have a very low, unstable connection, um, I'm just going to have to assume that you guys are able to hear this later when somebody dares watch. I'm not going to do anything crazy today. I literally have zero notes. I was figured to be kind of like a chill stream a little bit. Talk about a few things that I've been thinking about, and if somebody joins, anything that you guys want to talk about. I have to show you here. I'm drinking on my new. This was my Christmas present. You might think that it is a just a standard piece of china, but in fact, my wife got me a calamity cup. She thought that my life was on easy mode and that I needed more calamity. So, in case I was ever felt left out, I could have a giant frog that's trying to eat me, or I could be attacked by pterodactyls, or robbed by pirates, or grabbed by a giant mythical sea monster. So, excuse me too while I sip. I've got some soursop tea that I'm enjoying here. And yes, I do like those uh, trippy hippie herbal drinks. So sue me. I've always been a bit of a health nut. Alternative health, that is. Though you have to be careful because when I was coming up, it was hippy dippy to be into some of this stuff. And now, some 20 plus years later, it's like the ground has shifted underneath of us. And if you're, God forbid, if you're into alternative health practices today, you're probably considered like QAnon or some kind of right wing conspiracy theorist. I've been super interested in nutrition as health and herbal health and mineral health. I was just reading a piece the other day. I was going through some old books of mine in storage. I'm trying to clear out a few things, and I found some of my old books of Linus Pauling. And I was thinking how, I was really, I still, admire. I think Linus Pauling was one of the greatest scientists of the 20th century, one of the greatest minds. And early in his life, when he was doing things like in the realm of molecular biology and organic chemistry, oh, he was the darling of the scientific world. But when he took up health and when he took up alternative health as a subject, man, they laughed him. He basically ended his life in disgrace for the simple fact that he was trying to get people away from standard practices of medicine and into more. In the 1970s, nutrition, it was still considered alternative to view one's nutritional intake as a source of health. But Linus Pauling, in particular, was really big in the vitamin C world. And even 20 years ago, when I was interested in all this, I mean, he wrote the books on it, right? He wrote Vitamin C in the Common Cold, Vitamin C in the in flu. He wrote the oh, it's one of the classic books of how to I think it's like how to live longer, live well, and live longer. Let me look this up while I'm here. Linus Pauling books. I've got it in the back. I just can't remember the exact title. How to Live Longer and Feel Better. Yes, classic, classic work. And here, 20 years later, what our standard, at least in the United States, standard practice now is to tell people to increase their take of vitamin C when they get sick. And we've known this for a long time. Whenever I start feeling bad, I take, oh, where's it at? Oh, right here. Every single day, twice a day, I take crystal vitamin C. And when I start getting sick, I up the dosage of it. It's phenomenal. If you don't believe me, just go into the Linus Pauling Institute, look at some of the research that's done. There, he was big into megadosing of vitamin C. It's a controversial subject. I don't necessarily want to get into that because I don't want to bore you guys with health. But needless to say, I do enjoy certain herbal drinks. I'm trying to kick myself of coffee. I got a few things. I got like a 90-day thing I want to do here coming up. Kind of a health challenge for myself. Coffee, I don't know if you guys know this. I mean, I love coffee. Excuse me, I love coffee. I think there are some nutritional value within coffee. It's mostly just like it's mostly just like it's a crutch for me at this point just to get myself awake in the morning. I don't drink a lot of it. I was been substituting with with the dandelion tea. It's a little on the thick side. It kind of tricks my mind into thinking that I'm getting some coffee, but soursop here. This is a tea that I've been trying out here. Again, recently, it's high in vitamin C, high in antioxidants. Just a good tea all around. So, anyways, tonight I promised you guys to talk about Ayaan Hirsi Ali. And I want to, let's see, which one do I have shared right now? I don't want to add that one to the stage. I want to present, share screen. Never showed me those tips again. All right, why I am now a Christian. We'll start with that. So, I don't know how well you guys can see all of this. Hopefully, you can see it well enough. So, I've been reading through her letter a little bit here. And for those of you that aren't familiar, just to begin with Miss Ali, oh gosh, when did I first discover her? So, she came on the scene probably 2003, 2004. She was involved with a fella named Theo Van Gogh. Theo Van Gogh was the nephew, I believe, of the great artist, or great nephew, something like that, of the artist Vincent Van Gogh, who you're all familiar with. Theo Van Gogh, in the wake of September 11th, was a bit of a I don't know, like comparing the standards of political leanings today to back then. At the time, he was considered a like radical right winger. Where he would fall on the spectrum today, I don't know. Everything has shifted so much, but he was kind of a libertarian. I want to say he was atheist, slightly though not really, kind of on the periphery. I don't. He didn't live long enough, but he was sort of in that camp of the new atheist group. He was making some controversial content about Islam when he was stabbed in front of his apartment by a fundamentalist. And one of the people that he was working with was this immigrant who had, at this point, I don't think she was in the Dutch. what does the Dutch have, a parliament? I don't think she was in the whatever the equivalent of their parliament is. She wasn't elected to it, but she eventually did get elected to the Dutch government, and that's where she kind of gained her first bit of fame. Her time working with Theo Van Gogh, and there was a film project that she was involved in with him. Then when he died, she wrote a book called Infidel. I was gonna drag it out of storage. I've got it somewhere in the back in my storage of old books. It was almost not even really worth dragging out. I don't really remember much about it. I was fascinated with her story. It's admittedly an interesting story. She comes from Somalia, either by birth, at least by ethnicity, I think by birth, was raised in a very, very fundamental Islamic family, had a very difficult and we could say damaged childhood based on the way that her family and their religious and cultural practices, treated her. So when she came, whatever her, I forget exactly what her story was, when she came into the West, she took it upon herself to study. Well, let's see. I think she gets into it into this letter here. So let's just spend a little bit of time. So 2002, about the time that she came on the scene, she started reading Bertrand Russell, 20th century philosopher, Why I Am Not Christian. And let's see, this would have been just shortly after the 9/11 hijacking and the terrorist plots, which she was deeply had a deep impact on her, as it did for many of us that lived through it. And she got into this camp of um, like Richard Dawkins and those who saw what happened September 11th, not as a political, military event, but as a religious fanatic, like religious jihad event. And so she was a part of that whole thing. She was a very, very outspoken, adamant atheist, part of the new atheist group. Um, let's see. So she's reading Russell. She gets to the point where she disavows her belief in God, disavows her upbringing, disavows Islam. Um, and then she goes through the Muslim Brotherhood and some of you guys. This is from her "Why I'm Now Christian" article. Um, she says this. I thought this was interesting here. She says, "As an atheist, I thought I would lose that fear. There was a certain fear that she had of fear of defeat, fear of death, etc. That Russell said is the rooted in religious belief. The more time I spent, that is Ali spent with them, such people such as Hitchens and Dawkins, the more confident I felt that I had made the right choice. For the atheists were clever. They were also a great deal of fun. So what changed? Why do I call myself a Christian now?" And for this, she's getting a lot of flack online. Basically, the gist of her story is that she sees Christianity as the foundational, um, the ethical, the political, the sociological, the economic, in so many ways, the world that somebody like Hitchens or Dawkins stands upon is rooted in this civilization that was built not not in a vacuum, certainly, but also not divorced from its Christian roots. So this is kind of an aha moment for her. The interesting thing, though, is she's saying that this is her reason for her conversion. And the very first thing I would say about this is I don't think it's a good thing to be going through a religious conversion process and be a public figure At least not in the sense that you are shedding a light on this process that you're undergoing, right? I mean, it's one thing if you're already a public figure and you're going through this, that's its own thing, right? But if you're shining a light on it and you've got people that are scrutinizing you, on one side you got people that are scrutinizing you, critical of any like steps that you make, religious and non-religious people. On the other side, you've got these like well-meaning, though almost rabid. I'm trying to think of like you guys that follow events online have probably seen this where there's like hints of these people that may convert to X, right? Let's just say the Catholic Church. I don't know even what she considers herself converting to, if anything, but this person, there's a chance that they're a public figure, they're involved in line, social media, whatever. They might be converting to the Catholic Church. Well, you get these almost, and I hate to say a word like rabid because it's kind of like a loaded word, but very, very like excited people that if I look at my own conversion, and my own conversion was very private, very quiet, very subtle, and a very long, long, long process. And I didn't have people scrutinizing me. I did have some friends that were in the church that were very caring and kind, but it wasn't like they were like sitting there just waiting for me, you know. Um, and again, I think it comes from a place of caring and concern. I think these people mean well. You know, if you're a Catholic, you believe that the church is true, you're excited to see someone join, but I just could see it being very overwhelming. There was a young guy, oh, I can't think of his name. You guys know who I'm talking about, I'm sure. Last year, the year before, he was going through his own little conversion process. He's got a YouTube channel, and it was think looking like he was going to come into the Catholic Church. He comes into the Catholic Church. It's this big hurrah, and I think he got like overwhelmed or something. I'm not quite for sure, but he got quite a bit of flack for that. And all I can say is, look, I can sympathize with you because again, I think back on my own conversion, and I would not have wanted those eyes on me or that attention on me. But it's also like you're kind of bringing some of this on yourself. So I don't quite know what her intentions are here by making this public so early in the seemingly early in the process. It doesn't sound like she's been going through this for a very long time. And it's not clear whether or not this for her is a deeply spiritual conversion process. It almost seems like um maybe this reason right here that she's given, right, that the Western civilization is under threat. She, as an outsider that moved into the West, um, loves it's what she sees as its liberal ideals. Okay, and so many of these like kind of the silly new atheist groups think that those liberal ideas just poof sprung out of nowhere, right? As if there wasn't like some type of foundational aspects of the 2,000-year-old civilization that it was standing upon. So you know, Ali is smart enough, you know, at this point in her life, she's like taken the time to look at this and she sees, okay, yeah, so this liberal Western world that I have loved and cherished was actually built upon this thing called Christianity. And there's some other people that are going through this process too in the academic world, and it's kind of an interesting thing. Tom Holland is another one. He's written some books on Roman history and Islamic history. And if you go and watch some of his videos, he does a wonderful presentation of just how much we in the I'm using we loosely here. Those of you that are Christian and Catholics are probably, for the most part, aware of this, but the Western world, for the most part, is post Christian and it's still at the same time trying to wrestle with the fact that While it's post-Christian, and in some ways that post-Christianity has a certain, I don't wanna say anti-Christian. It's not necessarily anti-Christian. There is an element of it that's anti-Christian for sure, but it's almost an indifferentism, right, to Christianity